Oh yeah, they're supposed to be sisters. Oh,
We're live.
let's stop talking about your eyebrow.
All right. Well, I guess we'll wait for people to start streaming in. Let's see if we're live on Twitter. I mean, it says we're live. Gotta be live. Hot mic.
Is it hot mic?
Hot mic. Just saying that out loud.
Yeah,
yes, we are.
It's
live.
there. It's there. Is it?
I see you.
Is it going though?
Yeah, Frank is saying he's pouring the wine.
Ooh, I like that idea.
Yeah, me too. I'm drinking water because I'm still on the mend from my second vaccine.
Yeah, I thought about I have like Trulies in the fridge, and I was like, maybe I'll have one of those. But then I was like, no, I can't sound stupid tonight.
you got to make sure you're starting off on the right foot.
Cannot introduce myself sounding stupid, so I'm just drinking water like a good girl.
Yes, me too. So I'm trying to hydrate myself back up again as people start to stream in. Hello, everyone. We are waiting for people to join the show, but someone referred me to Liquid IV. Have you heard of that?
No.
I literally thought it was an IV that you like put in yourself to hydrate yourself. No, it's like a powder mix. Like, it's not that scary. It's not an actual IV bag. But stopped and got some on my way home from work, drank it on my ride home, and I already feel so much better. So highly recommend. They don't sponsor the show. Maybe they will after this.
I like it.
Oh, so there's some familiar faces popping in. Hi, everyone.
Hi. I can't see anything. All I can see is you.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Okay.
So you are in charge.
I'll be the person that answers. Danny's here. Carrie's here. Randall's here. Frank's here. James is here. Our crew's here. So hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us on a Friday evening. Brittany, do you have plans after this? Or is this it? This
is as high as it goes this weekend.
I would rather not be anywhere else than talking Browns with you tonight.
Friday night, drinking water, hanging with the best friends.
Drinking water. Yep. I mean, I get to miss out on kids going to bed. So here we are.
There you go.
All right. So why don't we kick off the show? So hello, everyone. I am your host this evening, Bri. If you know me on Twitter, you probably know me as Breezy Clee. And I've got my fellow co-host here, Miss Brittany Mollis, or also known as Bird's Eye View on Twitter.
Hello.
So Brittany and I have a podcast called That's What Bee Said. If you don't know that, I think there's a lot of you in here that listen to our show. So we welcome you in and thanks for joining us on your Friday night. But for those that don't know us, we wanted to just do a quick introduction so you can get to know us a little bit better. So as I said, I'm Bri. At Breezy Clee, and I am one half of a podcast called That's What Bee Said. B for Bri. Hello. I'm also a mother. I've got 2 young ones, a 7-year-old and a 5-year-old, and a husband that I made those kids with. So I would just like to clear the air. I am not a Baker Mayfield side piece. So, but thank you for thinking I'm young enough to be that. I'm flattered.
You spilled all the beans already, Bri.
I
We're
did.
supposed to build up to that.
Did. Yes. And I have a full-time job. I do this for fun and I work in corporate retail and I love it. It's fun.
Yeah.
How about you, Britt? Tell the people about you.
So, not to brag or anything, I was once voted the worst account on Twitter. That is my...
Is that a year removed?
Yeah, it's been a year.
So you're the reigning champ. Have you passed the crown?
They have not. They didn't have another one. So I didn't get a chance to dominate this year like I did last year. But that is my claim to fame. Worst account on Twitter. Really, though, I'm a contributor for Heavy on Browns. I just put out an article today talking about the Browns picking up 5th-year options on Baker and Denzel Ward. So check that out if you haven't yet. During the day, I'm a copywriter, which is it's not the most exciting thing. But, you know, it pays the bills. I get to live here downtown. I'm looking at the stadium right now, so that's good. Exciting. Yeah, and you know, we started this podcast because we noticed that there was a large female following with Cleveland Browns fandom, and as large as the following was, there wasn't a whole lot of female voices. So, you know, Bri and I got together and we're like, hey, like we see that there's a need for women to be represented in this fan base. So why don't we like why don't we do something about that? So, she is super polished and she sounds so good when she speaks. And I sound like a stoner. And I was like, I need someone there so I don't sound so stupid all the time. And, I could just write and do behind the scenes stuff and add some color commentary. But she's the real brains behind here. So we are here now. We are here now. And we're so excited to be on this Facebook Live with you guys.
Yes. Well, thank you for those very flattering things you said about me. But I will say, Brittany and I, we mesh really well together because she's an excellent writer and we obviously have to prepare for shows and we do a lot of research and put thought into what we put out there in our shows. And just to reiterate, like, we are definitely fans. This is fan generated content. As Brittany mentioned, we did not feel like our point of view was represented in the local media, even just sports media in general. And we wanted to hear more from people that are just like us, and definitely felt like there was a lack of that in the market. So here we are, we're a year and a half in, and we're hopefully going to be doing more of these things live with all of you to be able to interact with you in real time. So we'll see how this goes and we'll go from there. But if you have any questions for us, about the Browns, about the podcast, shoot them in the comment section. We will read it, hopefully be able to get to some of them at the end of the show. And then we will be answering some questions that were posted on the Heavy Facebook page earlier today. So a few things, if you don't know our podcast, and if you haven't listened to it, I just wanted to kick off what we are about. So one thing that constantly comes up about us is our positivity. Drives some people crazy. Some people really like it. But we see the good in things. We view the Browns with a glass half full approach. It's not the same old Browns anymore, and we aren't the same old negative media. In fact, we are not actually media at all. As we mentioned, we are fan-generated content.
Yes.
Number 2, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski. We are staunch supporters of those two and what they have accomplished in their young career with the Browns thus far. So Brittany was heavily on board the Kevin Stefanski train before he was even hired as the Browns head coach. And we love our head coach. We love the general manager. So we definitely support what they are doing. But that being said, we are also fair. So being positive doesn't mean that we are not honest. Though we love this staff and the players, we will call them out for bad play, poor coaching, or if they're bad people. They hold themselves accountable. The organization holds themselves accountable. And so do we, quite frankly. So we are here to give you honest feedback and honest opinions about how we view the Browns. And then lastly, fun. We like to interact with our listeners. We enjoy each other's company and we love to laugh. So expect to hear a lot of that on the show tonight. And if you don't know Brittany, she snorts when she laughs. So it's always a goal of mine. I know I'm doing a good job if Brittany's snorting and if the vein is popping out.
Oh, when I get angry, like I have this vein right here. So watch for it, guys. You can finally see it because we're on video, like live video. So when I get like really excited or angry, or sometimes, when I laugh, like this vein pops out. So be on the lookout. Vein watch.
We had the opportunity to interview Britt Bri,
oh my gosh.
Or you may know her as Mrs. Berry, wife of GM Andrew Berry, and it was filled with so much content. And Britt is just incredibly funny, incredibly smart, and the entire interview. We were on Zoom. You guys couldn't see us live, but we could see her live. Brittany's vein literally popped out in the first 5 minutes of the show and it stayed out. So then Brittany was like, it is my goal to keep the vein out the entire time. And I'm pretty sure she succeeded in that.
At that point, my vein was just like a guest host on the show. It was there. It wasn't going anywhere.
If your vein gets its own Twitter account.
Oh, there it is. It's coming.
Do you think someone will create a Twitter account, Brittany's vein?
I really hope we don't go that low. I hope there's a standard, just one standard on Twitter where that's it. Just don't do that.
Well, before we move on to topics for the evening, I do have to say, Miss Britt Bri is getting ready. They're getting ready to have their third baby. Yeah. Remember, she was due right around the draft. We did learn that. So if she's listening, if Mr. Berry is listening, good luck. Hopefully you guys, the little one, can hold off until post-draft, because that would be a storyline.
Yes, that would be incredible.
All right. So, Brittany, there's been a lot going on. We were supposed to do this show on Wednesday night. We had to postpone because I was dying from the second vaccination. But I'm actually happy things worked out to our advantage because Andrew Berry spoke to the media today. And there's a lot of topics I want to get into, things that we can delve into based on what he said. But first, let's go with the news that broke this morning. And that is that the Cleveland Browns, I think by no surprise, have picked up fifth-year options of both Baker Mayfield as well as Denzel Ward. So Baker has been extended through 2022. He'll make $5 million this year and $18.8 million in 2022. So this is a huge deal.
Yes.
Do you remember the last time the Browns picked up a fifth-year option on a quarterback?
No. So here's the thing. When I was writing that article today, number one, I couldn't remember when the fifth-year option got instated because I was like, okay, you look back at Browns quarterbacks and you're like, no, it wouldn't happen with this guy. Wouldn't happen with this guy. No. And you go to like 30 different names and you're like, all right, like when did this last happen? So tell them, Bri.
Do I even say this is the first time people are seeing me live? It was when I was born. That was 1985. I'm outing myself. I'm outing my age on this platform. It's been a good 30 some years since the Browns picked up a fifth-year option. I have lived a long time.
And just to like clarify, so the fifth-year option was instituted in 2011. So when they did it to Bernie Kosar, it wasn't even like a thing. So they just like, that was the days when they just sort of renewed contracts like normal people. Now we have all the analytics and all the millions in it. And, it got real complicated. But yeah, like 1985, that was the last time they did this with a Browns quarterback, which is just, you think about it and oh my God, I wasn't even alive. I was
okay.
Not.
Flex, Brittany, flex on me. I mean, there were so many things that weren't around, like social media. When did the internet come out?
Was this before the internet? Was Bernie Kosar there before the internet?
Why do I not know that actually?
Didn't Al Gore invent the internet?
I don't know.
I feel like that's a thing.
It doesn't matter. Okay. That was a long time ago. We've acknowledged that. I'm wearing my Baker shirt to celebrate the fact that the fifth-year option has been picked up. I love this shirt, him celebrating. So it felt appropriate for this evening. But I want to talk about this a little bit because, there was a lot of conversation all last year in the season about Baker Mayfield. And, I think fans were skeptical if Baker was deserving of a contract extension. I think a lot of people knew that he would probably get his fifth year picked up. But he still has his doubters. I don't think that will go away. Not even just from like a Browns fandom perspective, but he's popular in the national media. He gets picked on a lot. Yeah. But I just had to remind everyone, Baker last year finished 10th in the league in QBR ranking. As a reminder, he finished with 26 touchdown passes, 8 interceptions. And then week 7 to week 15 is kind of when we really saw him turn on, I would say. He struggled the first half of the season. Obviously, there was no normal offseason, a new coaching staff. Like it was rough to start. But in those final weeks of the season, he was 3rd in the league, just trailing only 2 other quarterbacks. Do you want to guess who they were? Not Ben Roethlisberger. Big Ben was not ahead of him.
Let's see. Week 7 to week 15 is 3rd in the league. Okay.
So there's 2 quarterbacks. It was Mahomes and Rodgers. So pretty darn good company.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, Brittany, does this say that Baker can have an even bigger jump going into next year, given the fact that he's going to have continuity of both coaching staff as well as the playbook?
Yeah, so I remember distinctly before the Browns hired Kevin Stefanski, on our show we broke down the potential coaches. So there was Stefanski, there was Robert, whatever his name was, the finalists. So Josh McDaniels, Stefanski, Saleh. And Genius in Baltimore.
Greg Roman?
Yes, Greg Roman. So we were going through these guys and listing what we liked about them, what we didn't like, the pros and cons of working with Baker and that offense. And one of the things that we really liked about Kevin Stefanski before he got hired was that he would have a similar arsenal in Cleveland as he did in Minnesota. And, he was able to make Kirk Cousins look real good in Minnesota, right? So if you can make Kirk Cousins look good, we're like, wow, think of what he can do with Baker Mayfield. So last year, we saw sort of like a reinvigorated Baker Mayfield. He had a breakout 2018. Then obviously a lot of things happened in 2019 where didn't go his way, didn't go anyone's way.
We started our podcast. Like we started in the Freddie Kitchens era.
Anyway.
That's one of our best shows, honestly.
So, I think now there were things that Baker Mayfield did last year where it was all the small things that added up. And you saw him, he wasn't his happy feet slowed down. Number one, he was always, his vision got better, just like little things over and over and over and over again, which led to him having a very successful 2020 season. Now you think about the potential of them having, even if it's not like a super regular off season, like the training camps and stuff, because they did mention that might just not happen. Stefanski and the coaching staff might just want to keep it to what worked last season with the Zoom meetings and trusting these athletes to work out by themselves, which fine. But now that Baker is about to go into year 2 with the same offense, the same coaches, these are things that he has not had before.
Right.
I think it's pretty safe to say that they're laying all the groundwork for him to have a very successful year next year. Very successful year.
Yeah, I agree. And, there's the other side of the coin where you could say teams now have tape on Kevin Stefanski, what they're trying to do as an offense. Baker Mayfield obviously got pretty comfortable. But I will even say, as the season progressed with the offense and Baker specifically, number one, OBJ went down pretty early on. So we don't know what that offense was really supposed to look like. Of course, you had guys step in like DPJ and Hollywood Higgins, but I think they probably still had a pretty large package of plays in there for OBJ that they didn't even get to. And then I think the other thing is Baker was rolling out of the pocket a lot. There was a lot of play action happening, which I think everyone knew that was going to be the DNA of a Kevin Stefanski offense. But Baker wasn't really doing that on the back half of the season. I mean, you look at how many throws he completed just out of the pocket. It was a pretty big jump from first half to second half. So I think that there's still so much that they can delve into in this playbook. And I mean, I have full faith in Kevin Stefanski to be able to evolve the offense. I mean, this is a bunch of smart football coaches and players that are involved. And something that we continue to talk about is they're returning their entire coaching staff as well. Yes. So there's not just continuity between head coach and Baker Mayfield. There's continuity between the entire staff and the entire offense. And again, you got the top rated offensive line in the entire football league. That's huge.
That's
huge.
That is.
I'm just I'm knock on wood. We need to knock on wood. The injury bug needs to not be around because I don't know. I just am so excited. And I think we do have a lot of things to be excited about, tangible excitement.
Yes, finally.
And I know we talked a lot about Baker, obviously, but Denzel Ward, again, his 5th-year option was also picked up. And I don't want to, ignore that fact because Denzel has been a great player since he joined the Cleveland Browns. He's been consistent. I think the only question mark out there about Denzel is staying healthy, right? That is a question mark. So I think the Browns were smart in picking up his 5th option. And I think he has a lot to prove going into this year as well.
Yes. Denzel Ward, again, I think we're going to talk about the draft, but when it comes to that cornerback position, it seems like they need to beef up. You hope that you won't, necessarily need it so much, but you just never know with Denzel. And,
I know the quarterback room, we're going to talk about it.
Yes.
I want to ask you though, Brittany, just these 2 moves that happened today, what do you think this means? What does this say about this upcoming season in your mind?
So to me, it says that the Cleveland Browns don't just see potential within the AFC North. They see potential to win the whole damn thing. Andrew Berry said today, he commented on both Baker and Denzel. And he said, I see these guys as a very big part of our future. Unlike regimes before him, the Andrew Berry, Kevin Stefanski regime is laying down a solid foundation of youth and talent to put them in a favorable spot for not just this year, but for years to come. So you see everything that Andrew Berry and company has done. It's for especially the defense, which was such a huge hole. But move by move, they're laying the groundwork for something steady, which is something we as Browns fans have not witnessed before. We're seeing grown adults make smart decisions, and I could not be more excited.
I know. Okay. I've shared this on our podcast before, but I'm going to say it again. And I know that this is not like a hot take or anything by any means, but I truly think Andrew Berry believes that this year, the team he is assembling, without even going into the draft, by the way, is a Super Bowl contending team. Like this season, not like we're building into that a few years down the road. Of course, teams always have that as a goal, right? Super Bowl. Let's be real. As Browns fans and as the teams we've put on the field before, that was never really a realistic goal for us to have. And I think last year, we obviously got to the playoffs. We won the wild card playoff game, and then we faced the defending Super Bowl champs. We kind of saw how we measured up against some of the best talent in the NFL in Patrick Mahomes and that team. And you could see we weren't quite there yet, right? We could probably match up with them from an offensive perspective, but on the defensive side of the ball, weren't even close. And that's a place that Andrew Berry obviously spent a lot of time this offseason really going after and improving. And that is where his focus has been. So to me, when you are bringing back your entire offense, that offensive line, an explosive offense that really took off the second half of the season, and you couple that with all of these defensive offseason moves with a draft still to play, by the way, the Browns are contenders and they should be in this conversation. I'm okay if they're not in the conversation at the national level. I'm fine with that. Don't talk about them. Just let them, they're going to go, they're going to do the work, right? That is what this team is about. That's what they preach. They go in, they put in the work. Yes. The Browns accomplished so much last year on so little. So yes. I just think about that. There were so many things that with an old regime that could have just set the entire season off track that didn't happen. So I'm ready for some sense of normalcy and really seeing what this staff and this team is capable of.
Heck yeah.
I'm ready to play.
They really weren't. So I remember last year when we were talking about it, obviously your highest goal is to be a Super Bowl contender, to go to the Super Bowl, of course. In the same time, you go into last year and there was a COVID shortened off season. Mm-hmm. Everything was flipped upside down. They did have a new coach, all new staff, everything, all new playbook. Everything was so much different. So as far as they went, that was very impressive because I don't think that they were necessarily planning to go that far. So in a sense, they kind of overachieved, which is weird because when you look at the lineup, you're like, wow, this team, is pretty good on paper, at least the offense. And it showed, but man, they had to score 30 points a game just for that defense to keep up. And that was, I love the fact that already before we even make it to the draft, Andrew Berry addressed the defensive hole. So now we're in a position, the exact position you want to be when you're picking at 26.
Yeah, he said when he got hired as the GM, he was going to aggressively attain talent. And Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski have the calmest demeanor I've ever seen.
Yes.
But yet they say these things and I'm like, wow, he is super aggressive, but he's so calm when he says it. It's such an oxymoron. When they both speak, it's just are you really aggressive? Or are you it's just wild to think about. And someone in the comments just said hold up on the Super Bowl. You have to start with the division. And I hear you on that. I definitely hear you on that. And the AFC North is obviously going to be one of the best divisions in football this year. Like, I do believe that. You have Lamar Jackson and the Ravens, who continuously are in contention. We're throwing away the Steelers. Like, guys, we're not.
They're done.
The Steelers are frauds.
They
were frauds last year. Like, we clearly saw that. So whatever. And then you have Joe Burrow and the Bengals. They have to get Joe Burrow help, and especially on the offensive line. So I like where we stack up in terms of the roster and in terms of the talent. Like, I think we not only have built a roster to compete with the AFC North, but it's going to compete with the rest of the league. So that's why I think like you can move even beyond just the AFC North and say like this roster that the staff is assembling can compete with anyone on the field at any given day. Now we have to see it all come together, obviously, because right now we have a bunch of names on defense that we haven't seen come together. But again, when you look at just the talent, it's there.
I don't think it's unfair, when you say, well, you have to win the division first. Sure, but like, we were the last ones standing in the division last, like it's okay for us to look beyond that now and say, we've only gotten better. Have the Steelers done things to get better? Have the Bengals done things to get better? Have the Ravens done things the Ravens, they made a little move today, which, okay, bless you. But, we're good. We're a good team. It's okay to finally say that. I understand that, Browns fans are like so jaded about everything. And you look back to like, remember 2018 when everyone was like America's team and there were all those hype videos about the Browns and that all blew up in our face. But, now we have cool, calm, collected, smart leaders who are, it's their team now. And if you don't trust these smart, calm leaders, I'm sorry. Like, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry you're not enjoying this, but it's fun. Maybe you should try it.
Yeah, remember we kicked this off with positivity. We breed positivity. So if you like positivity, we will give you what you're looking for. But I think it's okay to be more than cautiously optimistic. Yeah. Like I really think it's okay. Like, let's celebrate now what we've accomplished like so far in this off season. So all right, well, let's talk about the offseason a little bit because Andrew Berry spoke with the media today about just that. And obviously in his pre-draft statement, Andrew Berry and Kevin Stefanski, when they talk to the media, they don't really give a lot of information.
No.
And I think, I actually appreciate that. Like, they are a vault. Things are not getting leaked. No. And that's very different than what we're used to in the past. I understand as a writer or in media, it's like pulling teeth to find stories and to find topics and headlines to write about. But as a fan, like, I'm okay with that. Right.
Oh, yeah. Like, because think about 2019 when it was just something new every single day and it was just a media circus constantly. Yep. They never ran out of things to write about because it was just like generating constantly. So now we have two guys in charge. Oh, remember the Condoleezza Rice thing? When there was like a mole in Berea that told people that the Browns are going to hire Condoleezza Rice to be the head coach? That was probably my favorite.
Yes.
That was my favorite. But we don't have to worry about things like that now. And the press conferences are kind of boring. They don't really say a whole lot. But that's okay. We as fans, if you've ever talked to Browns fans, we might not need to know everything. We could just be, quiet sometimes. We don't have to know everything because if we knew everything, we would just, the obnoxious level would just be off the charts. So it's okay that they're quiet and they keep things to themselves. That's fine. That's what you want coaches and GMs to do.
Yeah. And we've talked about that before. It's almost as if we don't have dysfunction, we almost like breed dysfunction within the fan base. And if you're on Twitter, you're on Brown's Twitter, even, on Reddit boards or on Facebook, whatever your social media MO is, you will see fans just start like, I don't know, circulating things, like putting things out there to cause a little bit of controversy, a little bit of stir. Yes. Like every week it seemed like over, the past couple of months, it's like, let's have a debate about should OBJ be traded and are the Browns better without OBJ? Is Baker better without OBJ? We should trade Jarvis Landry. He gets paid too much money. Every single week it was like, we don't know what to do with ourselves. So let's just think of something to cause some sort of stir amongst fan bases so there's something to talk about. I mean,
yes,
I can do without that.
Oh, same. Let me tell you, anytime you get bored, just bring up Sashi.
Sashi
Start
Wars.
Start Sashi Wars. It's harmless. It's kind of fun. It's funny. It gets the people all wound up. Like, that's what I do. If it's like a slow day and I'm like, man, I'm bored, I'll just go tweet a picture of Sashi and then like just goes nuts. So just do that if you're bored. Don't make stuff up.
Jeff, I'm gonna butcher your name, so I apologize. Schinninger just literally commented in all caps, Martin Sismar. You are right. Martin is not real. He truly exists just to say things about the Browns and to stir up controversy. I have to share a story. I don't know Martin. I'm sure Martin is a nice guy. Actually, I'm not going to say nice.
Well, no.
So over the Browns season, I put on a fun DraftKings, like $1 buy-in, a showdown, which the showdown on DraftKings is really fun. You pick one game and you only draft players from that game. So every Sunday or Monday night, I would pick the Browns and whoever they played. And I would set up the pool privately so that it was just us and Browns fans, like random people, robots weren't getting in on the action. And it was 150 to 200 people every single week. And it was a lot of fun. And we had like 10 to 15 winners, depending on how many people played. So you had a great chance of winning your money back at least, right? And it's $1. It's not,
a $1. That's important to the story. $1.
You weren't obligated. I didn't make you. I didn't force you to give your dollar up, okay? But one weekend, I posted the link and Martin got mad. I don't know why he got mad. I tried to nicely invite him to join our league. I said, maybe you'll have fun. Like, it's really fun. He told me I was ruining the community by setting up fantasy football DraftKings.
You were turning people into gambling. No, first he yelled at us because we weren't profiting off this. He said, you guys are doing bad business because you should have a deal with FanDuel or whoever. What was it? FanDuel? DraftKings. You should have a deal with DraftKings so then you can make money. And we're like, no, we're not like, we don't make money. It's just something fun that we do. It's $1. And then he turned it into, well, you guys are turning your community into degenerate gamblers. And he was dead serious.
Yes, but Martin did give me a great idea because I did contact DraftKings. And I was like, hey, you want to like partner with us next year? Because Martin gave me an idea that you should be paying us to do this. So thank you, Martin. I've reached out. We'll keep you posted on how that goes. But anyway, just so you guys all know, we're going to keep doing DraftKings as the season begins next year. It was a lot of fun and I'll keep doing it. But let me know if I'm ruining your life $1 at a time. Okay, so going back out a little bit off topic, but going back to Andrew Berry and the press conference. So he said a lot of things without saying a lot of things. But there was a very consistent theme, I think, throughout, and things that he talked about in the draft. And we're gonna touch on a couple of things here. So we'll go with the first as he said that this position allows the Browns to be flexible in moving up or down. So no clear cut answer, obviously, on if he had an idea if they would move up or down in the draft. Shocking, right?
Yeah. Would not say it.
I mean,
yeah. And then he went on to say, are you ready?
Go ahead.
He said he's not necessarily married to picking in the first round of the draft. Quote, I'm comfortable if we pick. I'm comfortable if we move down. I'm comfortable if we move out. So he literally gave us nothing. Not even a tiny bit of a clue what he's planning to do.
Brittany, what does comfortable mean?
We should dissect every single thing that is there a secret code in there that we could look for?
I'm uncomfortable because he's so comfortable.
If we rearrange the words, we'll spell something else.
Can you spell linebacker out of comfortable? No, you can't. You cannot. So the other interesting tidbit from the press conference. So he did say that they usually have a draft board that has anywhere between 115 to 130 players. Mm-hmm. The Browns has 168 players, 114 of those deemed draftable, and 54 deemed as priority undrafted players. So interesting.
That's a lot of players.
A lot of players.
If it's anywhere usually between 115 and 130 and they're looking at 168, that's a lot of players.
They have their buckets.
Yeah, there's buckets. So if 114 are deemed draftable, that's actually lower than 115 and 130.
Yeah. So then he was asked the question about free agency and how that impacts his draft motto. Mm-hmm. And I did pull this entire quote. I'm going to read it to everyone because I want to reiterate something at the very end. So he was asked if it gives the team flexibility in the draft based on his free agency moves. Here's what he said. From my perspective, I think free agency, at least for me, has a lot less of an impact on the draft than it is maybe perceived. That is not to say that it does not have some level of influence, but it goes back to what I said earlier, that I really think of the draft as maximizing long-term sustainable impact on the team. Certainly need or position of value, all of that can play a role in it, but by no means is it the primary goal and not even close to the primary weighting in terms of the draft decisions. Honestly, that is how teams make mistakes.
Ooh.
I highlighted that.
Ooh, let's dissect that one.
I was like, this is deep. And also that sentence about, I had to read this like no lie 5 times when I was prepping for the show. When he said, by no means is it the primary goal and not even close to the primary weighting in terms of the draft decisions. I was like, hang on.
I really think
I don't even understand
deeper.
what that means.
I'm literally trying to read it between the lines right now.
I was like primary weighting, primary goal, comfortable, uncomfortable. So yeah, I almost felt like, you know, that is how teams make mistakes. You know, when I go back and read some of his other quotes out of this, he talked a lot about maximizing long-term sustainable impact. Like he said that a lot. The draft is all about long-term. It's the future and building towards the future. So I think, Brittany, when I say something else that came out of this, maybe this will all make sense or connect a little bit back. But he also stated that he goes into the draft with a mindset of maximizing long-term impact on the roster. So there that was again. And then it's less about filling a need or some level of instant gratification on the roster and more about a longer-term focus on the team. This is me reading into this. I'm reading between the lines. He keeps saying like long-term impact on the roster. It's not about like instant gratification or like fulfilling a need.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
He's not going to draft a linebacker.
Okay, don't crush. Okay, first of all, did
I just bring? I saw Brittany's soul like release from her body.
First of all, who are you calling the linebacker? Because let's be clear about something. Everyone, if you don't know, now you know that my only prayer for this draft, and this is after months of saying I was not going to get attached to any one specific player. I was going to be happy with anything Andrew Berry did, even after months of me telling myself that I want Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I need him. I will cry happy tears if the Browns get him.
By the way, you just crushed that name.
Owusu-Koramoah?
Yeah, crushed it.
Oh, thank you. I'd try. I mean, I've been a Notre Dame fan.
Yeah.
But like in my mind, I have to like talk myself through it every time I do it still. But like we could just call him Jock because that's what, that's what the cool kids do, the shorthand. But no, so as far as like linebacker goes, guys, let's be very clear here. This man is such a multifaceted player. He is such a talent that his skill goes beyond linebacker. Okay, just beyond it. So he's a linebacker, but he can also, play safety, slot. Like he's good to go. He could be anything. And imagine that in the Browns defense. Oh, I have goosebumps.
Yeah, listen, I love him too. Everyone knows this now. I texted Brittany like in September watching a random Notre Dame game and was like, I feel like he would be great on the Browns. This is me. Like, I don't have an eye for college football. Like, I'm not a scout. But I liked him. And I do, like, I am enamored by thinking of him becoming a Cleveland Brown, but the more that I listen to Andrew Berry, the closer that we get to the draft, the more confused I am. I am so confused.
Why don't you tell the people what you think okay, when he talks about, looking to the future.
Long-term?
Yes, long term. And he's stressing that. Mind you, he is stressing that. He said it a few times. Yes. It wasn't something just said in passing.
Yes. Here we go again.
So tell the people.
More for long-term roster building than franchise savior for 2021. That is a very indirect answer. I think they're going to get a wide receiver.
There you go. Isn't it funny that you are leaning towards wide receiver?
2 days ago, I was not.
I'm set on young Jock over here. And the obvious answer is the obvious answer is clearly a cornerback that we're just like, meh.
Okay, so that's why I'm saying, the more closer we get to the draft and the more I sit here and dissect, so we joke all the time about how men who are not in tune with their wives or girlfriends, but were so in tune with OBJ's body language all season. I today was dissecting everything that he said. I was rewinding quotes. I was rereading things. I was copying, pasting things, trying to figure out what he was trying to say, as if I was reading a letter from my 6th grade boyfriend who literally wrote, do you like me? Yes or no? I'm trying to read between the lines here. 2 days ago, I would have been 100% certain that they were going to go after cornerback because that's definitely a glaring need on this roster.
Sure.
We definitely need depth there. We still have depth needs from the total defensive position. I mean, we released Sheldon Richardson last week. What's going to happen there? Are we going to try to figure out that solve in the draft? There's still a needed edge. I know, obviously, Jadeveon Clowney, we did add depth there. But again, you can never have too many guys there.
Sure.
Cornerback was the one position, and linebacker that it's we're not there. Linebacking group last year was horrendous. It was
okay,
so
but
bad.
Can we mention something real fast? And we talked about this on our show this week.
Sure.
So Browns fans, they love to, talk all kinds of crap about the linebacking core. The linebacking core was bad last year. It just was. There was not much that they there were injuries, and then they just weren't very deep. They couldn't tackle. They were bad. But then when you even breach the subject of maybe drafting not just a linebacker, but a linebacker safety hybrid that's a superhuman superhero guy, they go all up in arms. They can't believe it. So you want to bash this group of men. But when the idea of bringing in someone who would be a beautiful fit, and someone, by the way, who is going to be gone in the first round, so that's where the Browns are going to have to get him if they want him.
Yeah.
But the thoughts of having this guy in their team just sends them into a frenzy. Andrew Berry would never draft a linebacker in round 1, blah, blah, blah. So it's you guys want to make fun of something, but do you really want to fix it? Because here's a quick fix, guys. I'm telling you. I promise you, if the Browns get this guy, you are not going to be unhappy. But they don't want to listen.
I mean, the media asked him today, directly, that his past and his staff don't necessarily value the linebacking position, and he did say I wouldn't rule that out. I wouldn't rule anything out at this point. And this is why I think it's so tough to try to dissect who the Browns are going to pick, because we're picking at number 26. We've not been in this position to be this low, having this pick in the draft. And the reality is we do have the benefit of we made so many free agency moves. We did get better on the defensive side of the ball that we can take best player available. And that's something we are just, quite frankly, not used to. We are in an uncomfortable position as a fan base to say, there's no position of need that we have to take. That is such an unusual feeling for us. It's always been a quarterback.
Yeah. I mean,
which we've done multiple times, having, picks in the top 10 that we've we've sucked at. I mean, Myles Garrett was like by far and away like one of the best picks we've ever made. And then you've got Baker and Denzel.
Yes.
But in every other instance, like we've been so bad at this and we've always been at the top that you have guys that you're like, okay, well, you're going to get a really good player, most likely in the top 10, unless it's Corey Coleman. But you're going to get a good caliber player that can start in the following season. But now you're like at a position where I don't know, like, are they going to be an impact player ready to start and ready to immediately jump in? Like it's kind of an unknown. And Andrew Barry talked about that too. Like a lot of these guys need to get their feet wet. They need to get their legs under them. They have sea legs. He kept saying they have sea legs. Like we'd like to get them, you know, comfortable on this team and ready to go for an NFL season versus just throwing them in, which that's something else that we've been so used to as Browns fans. We want to draft these players and we want them to save our team.
Yes.
That doesn't need to happen.
No, he said that today. He said, if you're going into the draft looking for a cure-all player, I think that's misguided. So again, he's saying, and of course he's going to say it, because when you're picking 26, like you mentioned, like what are the chances of this player coming in immediately and making like a huge impact? Probably not that great at 26. I mean, I'm trying to think of like players drafted. Well, there was that one guy, Lamar Jackson, who was drafted at 32, but
well, and you have Nick Chubb, right? We got Nick Chubb much later on.
Yes.
I mean, there are players that you can draft later on that do end up being really good players. And
sure.
You know, the one that jumps out to me too is I was thinking about this. Like, do you remember the hype surrounding DK Metcalf? You know, during the draft process and the Columbine, like he was jacked. Remember, like there was that picture of him standing next to other prospects, and he looked like a Mack truck, and everyone around him looked like children. Yes. And it was like he can only run in a straight line. Like that's all he can do is like run in a straight line. And you know what he did? He ran in a straight line really, really good.
That's it. That's it. That's all you got to do. Now there's gifts in doing it. Like it's just. Yeah. But yeah, no. I don't know. We'll see what happens. You know, we have there's cornerbacks that you listed on here. The problem with that is that everyone can use a good cornerback.
I know.
You know, everyone needs that.
Yep.
So how many is there a good enough cornerback at 26 that the Browns have won? I don't know if there will be any available, because that's a hot position that any team could use more of. So
I agree.
I don't know. Again, you're going wide receiver. It seems like you're leaning wide receiver.
Well, like I said, you could talk to me tomorrow and I may feel completely different. But like today at 8:53 p.m. on April 23rd, I am going with wide receiver. And people were commenting like the one that seems to be talked about the most as being a good fit for the Browns and who may not be there at 26, but who also may fall there at 26 is Rashad Bateman from Minnesota. He has been like the talk around town. There's articles about him, why he should be a Cleveland Brown, why it makes sense for the Browns. He's a deep ball threat. He can break away from defenders, create separation, consistently wins vertical routes. You know, there's obviously cons. There's cons with every player, but I think with this coaching staff, like they're going to be able to teach these guys things that they're not good at. And that's what I think this coaching staff does do really well, is they're going to be able to coach them through what they need to work on. I mean, this team pays attention to details. So you're not going to make this roster unless that's going to be your work ethic. So I don't know, Britt. I mean, I'd be fine with Jock. J-O-K.
Yeah. Young Jock.
Young Jock. I'm going to be fine with whoever they pick. Like, you know, I'm going to rally behind him and root for him. So we'll see.
Young Jock, it's going down.
It is like a DJ. Should we take some questions?
Sure, let's do it.
Yeah, I mean, you guys drop in the comments who you think they're going to pick, who you want to pick. I'm curious. Go Facebook page. We did get a couple of questions earlier that I wanted to address. Let me pull that up for you. A couple of good ones in here. All right, so... Wow, that is a lovely screenshot of our live that they posted.
Is it bad?
I'm like looking weird. All right. So this came from Jamal Freeman. Given that Kevin Stefanski was a huge impact on the coaching side of the house, do you think other teams have created a game plan to counteract our coaching? If so, how well equipped do you think we are to handle that kind of shift in game? It's a good question.
Where's that at?
That was on the Facebook page.
I was looking at other questions. Can you repeat that, please?
Do you want me to repeat it? Yes, please.
Yeah, because I was looking through the comments. I'm like, wonder what's
okay,
the question.
Ready?
Yes.
This came from Jamal Freeman. So he said, given that Kevin was a huge impact on the coaching side of the house, do you think other teams have created a game plan to counteract coaching? And if so, how well equipped do you think we are to handle that kind of shift in gameplay?
Okay, so yes, to answer the question, I do think that, especially in the AFC North. Well, like Mike Tomlin, he's a vet. AFC North is probably a bad example because these guys like Mike Tomlin and Harbaugh, like they've been around. I don't know that there's too many people that could. Well, Mike Tomlin got outcoached. Harbaugh, he's a smart guy. I'm going down a hole in my own. I'm going a rabbit hole now thinking about these guys. This is what happens. You guys should really listen to our show sometime if you don't, because this happens quite often. But one thing that I think we as fans could sort of take solace in is that Kevin Stefanski is a very smart guy. He has hired very smart people. So even if opponents try to sort of outthink him, unless you're Andy Reid.
Yeah, I know.
Unless you're Andy Reid, you're probably going to have a hard time doing it. Remember when they played Titans last year? That was just a masterpiece of a game.
Sure was.
Well, masterpiece of a half. Let's say that.
Yeah, that seemed to be the Achilles heel of the Browns last year.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Couldn't quite do it in a full game.
Yes, that was woo.
But you're right. I mean, you alluded to this, Brittany. As much as we hate to admit it, because we're obviously huge Kevin stans, but Kevin got out coached against the Chiefs. Yes, a lot.
Oh, it was bad. That was his worst coach game.
That was pretty disappointing, obviously, especially at that stage. And I think the potential that we thought we had, especially from the offensive perspective, we knew what we were from a defensive perspective, but the offense was just stale and vanilla. And when we tried to get cute, the Chiefs knew exactly what we were doing. So that was really disappointing to watch last year. But, he's young, and I think he'll learn from that. And I don't think he's happy. And Kevin spoke to the media earlier this week, which we didn't even talk about, but he was quoted as saying, they asked, were you something along the lines of were you happy with the season of how you performed? Obviously going from 6-10 to 11-5. And he said, we lost our last game. So to me, I have no doubt that Kevin Stefanski is going to learn from that last game. And I bet he's probably watched it a million times and is probably still losing sleep over it.
Yes, I'm sure.
All right.
Are we ready for let me find a question on here. Because somebody asked a good one earlier.
Yeah, I think I found it. Steve Roberts, that one?
Yeah, where's that one? Steve.
Kind of towards the bottom.
Oh my gosh, there's a lot of comments on this thing. Okay, here it is.
So nice.
Okay. So Steve Roberts says, now that we are set up on the front, who would be the top 3 cornerbacks? Do you think Cleveland should draft I butchered that. Who are the top 3 cornerbacks you think Cleveland should draft that will be available? Also, do you girls see us trading OBJ and moving up? What % do you see that happening?
Stevie. Okay, so on the OBJ front, I don't see them trying to throw him in a trade just because at this point, I just don't think the value is there with OBJ right now. But again, the OBJ trade talk seems to be something that comes up at least once a month. And I don't know why his name always gets thrown into it, but I think they're going to keep him. I don't think they're going to put him up on the table. So I don't think that's going to happen. In terms of cornerback, we talked about that. I do think this is a position of need, and a few that I wrote down that I think are probably the most popular that are out there. Asante Samuel Jr., who, I don't think will be there at 26. Like, I think a lot of these guys that we're listing out, you're probably going to have to trade up to get. Greg Newsome the second, Caleb Farley from VTech, and then Tyson Campbell. So, there's some options, but again, like, I don't know if any of them are a sure thing for the Browns.
Yeah. And, he's not ruling anything out, guys. So there's a possibility that he could move up in the draft. He hasn't ruled that out, which, I mean, if you put full trust in him, like I do, I just know that he's going to get Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah, and that's all I need.
You are setting yourself up for heartbreak. Okay, so can I ask you a question?
Sure.
What if the Steelers pick him? Because they picked 2 spots ahead of us. I
will be devastated.
I know, right?
I will be crushed. And you know what? I was pretty who's the guy that I don't like now? Wide receiver for the Steelers.
Chase Claypool.
Yes. I wanted to call him Grant something. See, like, I'm senile. I can't remember names anymore.
Which Chase was a Notre Dame guy. So
that's why I liked him. And and I when they got him, I was like, man, I would have loved for the Browns. And then he turns into kind of a jerk. And I'm like, you know what? Screw you, man. Stay over there.
Yeah. What is it about the Steelers and their wide receivers?
They just
like, what happens?
I don't know. It's a weird culture over there, it seems. We can't relate to that culture, obviously.
Yeah, but it's crazy because OBJ gets that rap, but yet you have guys that actually act like Juju and Chase. And I mean, I guess last year they were kind of exposed based on the whole TikTok and dancing on the logos. And like, it was cute at first, but then it got annoying.
It was too much.
Okay, so there's some questions coming here live. Let me read some of them to you. Let's see. If the Browns, this is from Frank, if the Browns trade out of the first round, would you be angry, okay with it, or mixed emotion?
Well, you obviously, this is not the question for me to answer, because when you have your heart set on one person, like, you're going to be upset. However, like, when I'm using my actual logistical brain and taking my heart and feelings out of it, which is impossible, but I will just try this exercise for you guys. When I do that, I'm okay with everything Andrew Berry decides to do. I trust that man to do a good job. He's smart. So if he decides that he wants to trade up to get a cornerback, if he wants to trade back and check out the wide receivers on day 2, like, whatever, I'm good with it. But really, I'm not.
I'm laughing because someone commented and said, if Koramoah is there at 26, I may just faint.
I might too, Ellen. I might too. No joke. Either way, I'm crying. If we're picking at 26 and he's there, either way, I'm crying. If they take him or if they don't.
I mean, I get attached to like the like, I don't know. I guess I call them like the spark players where like there's so much excitement. They're sexy. They're sexy picks.
Yeah.
Like last year, Isaiah Simmons, remember? Like it was all that, like he was like all the talk of the draft of like how great of a player he is, how he was versatile, like hybrid player. And I wanted the Browns to trade up to get him last year, even though I knew desperately we needed a lineman. And I'm so happy that the Browns obviously are the Browns and I was not drafting because I like flash. I like fun things. I like shiny things. But he didn't really have a great season with the Cardinals. So I'm like, is there something to be said? Is Jock, like, could he turn out to be like that?
What, a bust? How dare you? I'm going to hang up. I'm hanging up right now.
I'm not saying he's a bust. But...
Will he be a bust? That's my next article. Bree says Jock's going to be a bust.
No.
10 reasons why you're wrong.
And then you will let them attack me. I think that's it. Oh, someone, Ellis in Orlando, ladies, with all the edge rushers out there, who would you draft? What I feel like is like Zaven Collins is like the one that keeps coming up. I don't know, like, guys, I'm going to be honest with you. I haven't done like research on all of these players because every day I change on who I think they should be drafting.
And when you have tunnel vision on a player, you don't care about anything else.
Yeah, Brittany is 100% like she's in an exclusive relationship.
That's it. If it's not him, then I'll be fine with whatever it is. But as far as like position players, I don't know. I know one guy, and I'm ready because I mean, I don't have to pay attention to that stuff. When you trust somebody, it's like one day when I'm married, I'll just trust my husband to pay all the bills because I'm not doing it. But like if you married someone that you trust, you can just trust that they're, you put money somewhere and they, it happens. Everything gets paid. That's how I feel about Andrew Berry.
I'm still waiting for your breakdown of cornerbacks. Did you do that article yet? Because I'm waiting for yours.
Wasn't I going to do it for free? I was going to do it for free agents. Yeah, no, not college corner because I don't want one. I will only write an article about Jeremiah. That's it.
Okay, fine. Even if the Browns don't draft him, Brittany's still going to write an article.
I will write an article about
why they should have.
On every 3 reasons why the Browns missed on Jeremiah.
Okay, then listen, then you are 100% baptized as a media member because that would be like you're in. Like that is what they do. That is what they do.
We'll be doing Facebook Lives in like September or October, and we'll have a little live tracker of just showing Jeremiah what he's doing exactly at every moment of every play.
Oh, I'm laughing. Oh, this is a good one. Hollywood Higgins breakout in 2021. Think he and Baker share a bunk bed?
Don't they already? No, I would say yeah. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, don't you think he has proven his spot on the roster? I mean, even with OBJ coming back, like I think there's some packages for him.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, again, like not to think ahead because obviously there's a lot of players on the Browns that are on 1-year deals that are kind of on like these prove it contracts. So for Higgins, this season could earn him a lot of money for next year, whether that's with the Browns or another team. But it's kind of his showcase year. I mean, same thing like David Njoku, Takk McKinley on the defensive side of the ball. So I don't know, like the way that Andrew Berry assembled this team, there's so many 1-year contracts and guys that have something to prove either for themselves or to show like that they belong in the NFL. And that could obviously pay dividends for the Browns in terms of wins.
For sure.
So JOC watch 2021. Every day Brittany's going to post like a fun fact or something about him.
You know what? I'm going to. Why not?
Can't wait for it. Well, should we wrap it up, Britt?
Wait, can I tell you a fun story real quick?
Yes. Oh gosh, I forgot to tell you my story.
Oh yeah. So like I'm in this this co-ed Browns group chat. Oh, you're in it too. Okay. Have you know? I forgot because I just got added back in.
I have not checked anything today on my group chats.
So sometimes they'll start, posting their mock drafts in there, and they're like, "Oh yeah, look at my mock draft. Oh yeah, well I did this PFF mock draft. Woo!" And they all take corners, of course. They all take corners. So every time I start talking about, I just start blasting with photos of Maya Owusu-Koramoah. And they get so mad because they're very anti-linebacker.
I have to say that I'm going to be very excited when mock drafts go away. I am so over seeing Robert 58198's mock draft, his third version.
Can we do a mock draft? Let's do a mock draft on Sunday and see what happens. No, let's do it for science.
I only like the mock drafts that have I was like, come on, can we have the teams that we hate pick really bad players, at least just for fun, know?
Why not? Because I still don't understand what mock drafts are. Do you pick them? Does a computer pick them? I don't understand what happens. So I'm going to look into it, and we're going to each do a mock draft on Sunday.
Oh, gosh.
That's your assignment this weekend.
Can't wait. Can't wait. I mean, I know who Brittany's picking.
Wow.
Brittany's going to trade up to number 11.
If it's a computer generated, I will trade up to number 1. I will give them everything. I'll be like, here I am.
I will sell my body. Oh my gosh.
I'm sweaty now.
Me too. Come on. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm gonna wrap up the show with a funny story, non-related to anything football-wise. But I have a 5-year-old son. You've seen him if you follow me on Twitter. He goes by Little Dude. And today, I had to go into the office today, so he was at home all day with my husband. And my husband took him to the park. And my husband was playing pickleball while he was playing at the park. And in the middle of his play, Little Dude came running up to him and he was like, "Daddy, my pants are wet." And my husband was like, "Okay, well, did you just go down the slide? Was the slide wet?" And his speech, he's 5. So like he sometimes has a hard time, saying the right words, or you can't really understand him. But clear as day, he said, "I farted and it was wet."
Oh no.
And of course, as someone who can't actually like say words that well, he said this like clear as day, and everyone heard him. And it was his first shart experience at the age of 5. So it made me laugh, and I just had to share that with everyone because kids are hilarious and there's no filter. And
I love it.
This won't be the last time. So
I love it.
We will end the show.
Everybody sharts.
We will end the show with sharts.
Shart week.
Oh my god, I have a shark right here. Shark week. Guys, thank you for tuning in. That's the funniest thing.
I'm sweating.
Oh my god. Deanie just said chundies. Someone said a shart in the park. I should make a book. The shart in the park.
People are gonna think we're drunk.
I'm crying. I'm drinking water. I'm so happy everyone stayed on for this. Okay.
We almost had it, Bri. We almost had a normal show.
People are still asking questions about the draft. We've moved on. All right, I will wrap this up as best as I can. Thank you all for tuning in and joining us live. It's been a long time since we have went live. This was a great time. Hopefully we will do it again. If you guys liked it, let us know. We love hearing your feedback. If you want to find us on Twitter, I'm Breezy Clee. Brittany's at Bird's Eye View, and we put out our podcast on a weekly basis, usually on Wednesday mornings, but sometimes on Thursdays. You can find us on iTunes or Stitcher and just search That's What B Said. You can go find us on Spotify. So thank you guys all for tuning in, and we'll talk soon.
Bye.
Bye.